Frank Prezioso, the Cold Wars director for HMGS Cold Wars. Here we are. We're back.
Welcome to Cold Wars 2025. Dale, a phrase that I'm not sure some of us thought we would be able to say a few months ago.
No, and I think as the convention director, Frank Prezioso, mentioned, they're back.
There was a lot of question about whether Cold Wars 2025 would happen. It was a decision that was not made until very late. We're going to talk to the convention director later in this recap, but we are in fact back at a very old and familiar venue. Well, familiar to those of us who've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. Because it's been a while since since they've been back here at the Eisenhower.
We're in three separate buildings here. You're looking at the Eisenhower Hotel, which is right behind us. There's another hotel.
The Aspire,
which is connected but separate over here. And then behind the camera, we will show you the walk to the All-Star Complex. There is gaming happening in all three of these locations. It is very spread out, and thank God it's a really nice weekend.
And yes, because
the weather is good.
Yeah, bad weather would be a definite.
It'd be a killer here.
Yes,
It'd be an absolute killer. So we will show you some of the games. Now, of course, Dale and I are recording this on Friday. The convention really kicked off yesterday on Thursday. Friday traditionally has always been a big day for gaming at these shows. It is a very small crowd here today,
yes.
which was expected.
Yep, yeah, they sort of expected it, I believe. Real light.
If you look at the registration coming into Cold Wars, we've got about half the number of games that we normally do, less than half the number of vendors here than what we normally have.
Yep, I think 20 vendors, was...
Tournaments are half.
Tournaments, yeah, definitely based on the tournament space that I saw, half.
And then, of course, the real question, which we don't know yet because it's Friday, is what will attendance be?
Yes, so I think there may be a bit of a saving grace here that with the nice weather and everything, they could see a big push in attendance tomorrow, Saturday day trippers, because of the weather.
I agree, absolutely. So let's hope that that is the case. Because of the lowered number of games here, there wasn't actually a whole lot for us to see here today, but there were a couple pretty cool games.
Yeah, so Pete Panzeri's Iwo Jima game, that sort of stood out, and maybe it's just because it's a big game on a lot of tables with a big mountain.
It was cool looking.
So it sort of had a little bit of the vibes of the Zulu game from Fallen with that big mountain type thing. But I've played in Panzeri games before, and I know they are easy, quick, fast-paced,
colorful,
and a lot of fun. And I think Pete is a character unto his own as a game master.
Absolutely, he most certainly is.
What about for you? What sort of stood out for you?
Well, I mean, we are in Gettysburg. The very first game that I saw at the All-Star Complex, a giant Gettysburg game. Really cool looking setup in 15mm scale with kind of Fire and Fury basing, although they were using a different rule set, Gettysburg Soldiers.
Yes, modified, I believe he said.
Another game that caught my eye was Giant Brazen Chariots, Eastern Front Winter Battle.
Adam Wine.
Huge table, Brazen Chariots always makes a really nice display. Pretty much every show.
Yep. Joe Schwartz always has a gorgeous display for Ancients games. Again, same thing that you can expect from him. There was an aircraft, a German airfield game. I think that
Rogue Heroes, SAS Rogue Heroes.
That looked rather interesting and well done.
Yeah, I talked to the GM of that game briefly, and he had a really fun setup where there were objectives all over this German airbase that the SAS troops had to go in and plant detonation devices, set timers for them. It looked pretty cool.
That sounds like that would be a lot of fun.
He had some sweet explosion markers on the Stukas and on the bombs that were going off. Really great looking game. We will definitely give you guys hopefully a more thorough recap and show you some of the games that are going to be coming up on Saturday, which is tomorrow. I am certain there will be plenty more games on Saturday. But while we're here on Friday, we've already kind of touched on this a little bit, Dale. I would love to get your impressions of being back at the Eisenhower after so long. One of the big questions coming into this show that a lot of people had was, has the Eisenhower changed? It's been so long since we've been here. It's under new ownership. What is the venue like now?
Boy, that's going back a long time. And you know what? It still a little bit is the same.
We did talk to the convention director about the decision and the thought process that went into selecting the Eisenhower as the venue for Cold Wars, and here's what he had to say.
Taking a show out of rotation, coming back to that show, people they created a vacuum. So all these other little organizations said, well, if they're not going to have Cold Wars, we're going to do something. Other places had hotel room nights were $240, $250, $260. I know these guys. They don't want to pay that. Okay. One of the venues was, well, you need to, and it started looking like kind of like a Baltimore thing, which I shouldn't bring up, right? You want me to answer that on this? Because if I do, boy, somebody's going to be really. There's people's heads are going to stop popping in there. I'll tell you right now. No, but if you want to shut it off, and I could tell you. The question was, well, we don't have any place to have Cold Wars. That was the comment. And me and my wife came out here for Historicon last year, and we knew this place was here. We didn't know what it was like, so we came out here, talked to the hotel, talked to these people. This was the date they had for us. Was it a good date? No. I'll be the first one to say no. But it was a date. Even if you don't want to stay at this hotel, again, go look at all the other hotels and all the other places that we stay. Even the Host and then Lancaster Convention Center. The hotel rooms are $160 to $200. I'm guessing, but I think that's what it is. It's $135 and you get breakfast. Now, is it the greatest breakfast in the world? No. Are you getting bacon and eggs? No. But you're getting a continental breakfast that most of you guys, if you travel or you're out there and you do something, you wake up in the morning, you go downstairs and you grab whatever and go. That's what it is, but it's free, and it's still only $135. You're not going to be able to beat that. I just got lunch in here. My wife got a sausage and peppers, and I got a sandwich, and it was $13 for both of them. What do we like to do? We like to play with little toy soldiers. We like to eat. We like to drink, and we like to talk to our friends. I don't think you can beat that. I just like to see people be able to get together and play games. I never even when I ran conventions before, never really concerned myself with how much money we were making. My concern was more so was everybody having fun. I mean, we did a lot of work in a very, very short amount of time to have this happen. We're pleased. My staff and me are very pleased with the amount of people that are here. There's a lot of growing pains.
Well, we certainly want to thank Frank for giving us that interview.
It's really great to get, I think, the insight of the convention director and really what goes into and behind the scenes, because these events are not easy to put together. There's a lot of work behind the scenes.
Well, you would know. You are a volunteer at a lot of these events.
Yes.
So you know what goes into this.
Yes.
You know, there is something that Frank mentioned in our interview, and this is something you and I were talking about off camera. There are always going to be philosophical differences about the ideal venue.
Oh.
You know, exactly where you want to be and how much money you want to spend. And the prevailing philosophy here at Cold Wars was, let's get the cheapest possible venue. Let's make it as affordable as possible so that people can afford to come. That is something that Frank hammered on repeatedly.
Yep.
Affordability.
Yeah.
Totally get that. But there is something else that kind of comes to mind for me, which is that you get what you pay for.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So
that is very evident as you walk around the Eisenhower.
Yes. Yeah.
One thing I do want to mention, since I've kind of been ripping on the Eisenhower a little bit, is that there are some advantages here. First of all, there's a ton of space.
Yep.
Way more than we need. There's also fabulous parking, surface parking options everywhere. Kind of reminds me of the Host, where you can just pool up kind of wherever you want and walk immediately into any one of these buildings. I know parking is always something that people are concerned about.
Yeah.
The options are are great here.
Yeah. Over at the All-Star, there's a huge parking lot over there.
Yeah.
Looking here at the hotel, there seems to be plenty of parking around here. It's the distance from the Eisenhower to the All-Star.
Yeah. It's a long, lonely walk down that road to get from one building to the other.
5 minutes?
Yeah, probably.
And bad weather, like we said, that would be a problem.
But fortunately, it is an absolutely gorgeous weekend. We will bring you lots more coverage of Cold Wars in this video. I'm very interested to see how things are going to turn out tomorrow on Saturday. I think people here are feeling kind of optimistic.
Yeah, a lot of the people were glad to see Cold War's back. People that we talked to.
Yes.
Happy to see it back. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what we see tomorrow.
This is Battle of the Silk Road, a weird science ancients game where the Middle Empire Romans are facing off against the Han Chinese, as well as some lost Macedonians from the Greco-Bactrian kingdom. The premise is there was a plague about 200 years ago that struck most of Eurasia, and the civilizations had to adapt their technologies. And so we have the sky kites versus land galleys, flamethrowers, and of course the Chinese have gunpowder weapons.
I was one of the 3 guys from our club at the show on Saturday, taking photos, shopping, talking to old friends, and fortunately, some Saturday attendance bump appears to have happened. I say appears to because HMGS has not released official numbers for the show, but based solely on my 25 years of observation at these conventions, I can tell you this was by far the smallest turnout among players and vendors that I've ever seen at an HMGS show, and unfortunately, it's not limited to this weekend. It would be an understatement to say that Cold Wars has been on a cold streak. After all, it's lost money 5 of the last 6 years. Internally, HMGS has been projecting this weekend to make that 6 of the last 7. Judging by the anemic turnout at the membership meeting on Friday night, it's safe to say very few people watching this video care about the losses. Wargamers go to these shows to game, to have fun, not to worry about logistics, staffing, red ink. After all, where's the fun in that? Now, speaking of fun, we encourage you to mark your calendars for the biggest, best historical miniature wargaming show in the United States. Historicon is coming up in July, and it is the highlight of the convention season. We're already excited, and we can't wait to see you there.